Today, I will be revealing my 2026 top 3 crypto picks. Now, I'm not here to give anybody financial advice. I'm just here to tell you why I already own these assets, why I'm loading up more on those positions, and why I think that they're such great plays for the year ahead. And we're talking about strong utility digital assets that distinguish themselves from the 99% of crypto that we do believe is going away or will fade off into being irrelevant. So in today's update, we're going to talk about the macro, why I still think that we have downside exposure that we need to prepare for. Get your orders in now so we can scoop these lows up during the bear market here. And then we're going to talk about where these assets are going to be heading later this year and back into the bull market. Let's get right on into the update. Appreciate you guys for stopping by. CPI LI came in today at 2.4%, below expectations of 2.5. Core fell to 2.5, right in line with expectations. And this is now core CPI inflation at its lowest level since March of 2021. So the odds of a further interest rate cuts are now back on the rise. Now, but we're dealing with too late Powell, stick it to him Powell, call him whatever you want, Jerome Powell, and the FOMC are really holding out right now, right? Because you're getting mixed signals. Labor market showing some signs of strength in some areas, but then we see these huge downward revisions. You know, the biggest revision that we had in the jobs numbers since the great financial crisis. You get, some inflation data that comes in here, looks promising. You look at the details, though, and we still have rampant inflation. It's still here. When we look at price changes over the last year, Charlie Bolello puts this together. Gas utilities, 9.8%, electricity, 6%, food away from home, 4%, medical care, 3.9%, shelter, 3%, overall CPI, 2.4%. Food at home, 2.1, transportation, 1.3, new cars, 0.4, and then we finally see some falling prices on used cars down 2%, fuel oil down 4.2, and gasoline down 7.5. So, we got to give credit where credit's due. Energy is coming down, but other aspects of our everyday life are necessities. I mean, electricity, gas, utilities, and food and shelter still on the rise. And that aggregate compounded inflation has took us to levels that are really just unaffordable for most people, right? And so this is why we're seeing such a slowdown in real estate. That data is taking us back to the great financial crisis. I mean, it's a very, very uncertain time for folks. And this is why we've seen crypto market fall short in the bull run that we had last year, why we've gone into such a quick and deep collateral death spiral and bear market. Right? We have no inflows coming in, just straight up. Why is crypto doing this? Because it's a collateral death spiral of hedge funds and over-leveraged traders and everybody else who took on too much leverage, having to unwind those positions. And even though we've been brought back down here, it took us coming all the way down to basically $1.11 for XRP and Bitcoin down to 60,000 for us to finally catch a bid. So we need inflows, right? But when the average American and people across the planet for that matter, are feeling feeling stretched and feeling squeezed, we're not seeing new inflows. Now, the institutional inflows have been coming in steadily. We talked about that with the ETFs. And so we want to make sure that we get everybody on the right side. And what I'm preparing for you guys right now is the next downturn. This looks to be the double bottom formation where we conclude and hit the lows of the bear market. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that we snap out of it, V-shaped recovery, and then pump back to all-time highs within a month or two. It means that the best prices to acquire these assets during the bear market are right around the corner. What are the catalysts? U.S. aircraft carrier Gerald Ford is on its way to the Middle East. The Ford Strike Group's new orders will have it joining the USS Abraham Lincoln carrier strike group in the Persian Gulf as part of President Trump's resurgent pressure campaign against Iran's leaders. You want another catalyst? Supreme Court says February 20th to be opinion day amid tariff wait. So the next time we're going to get a decision from the Supreme Court, February 20th. Will they rule on Trump tariffs? Big question. But if they do, you can expect volatility. We're already seeing the volatility come up. But what's crazy is that we're still very close. We're basically just right below all-time high for the stock market, which means that we haven't seen nothing yet in the stock market. Gold and silver have wiped out over 10 trillion. We've seen trillions swinging back and forth in the market cap of gold and silver. Cryptocurrency, we've lost a couple trillion of market cap over here. But the stock market correction hasn't even started. And if you're in stocks right now, just be careful. Wild market. We haven't seen anything like this since the dot-com bubble burst. Over the last 8 sessions, 115 stocks in the S&P 500 have declined 7% or more in a single day. The average drawdown when that happens is 34%. Right now, we're 1.5% below the all-time high, meaning we haven't seen anything yet. And I'm going to tell you, it's not a black swan because we saw it coming. So I don't know if you call it a gray swan, a white swan. I don't know what you call it. This is it, though. This is the domino. This is the domino. And this domino has been teetering. It's falling. It hasn't fell completely. But the domino is the files. The dominoes is that rabbit hole. I'm not going to say the name, but you guys know what I'm talking about. And everybody that's implicated in that, this is why they're keeping all the redactions. This is why they've tried to stop it from coming out. Even people that I think are clean have tried to stop it from coming out because they know what happens. They know. And it is the perfect excuse for that stock market to see a 20% correction and to go into a bear market briefly. When you combine the Iran strikes, when you combine the Supreme Court ruling on Trump tariffs, that'll shock it. And then you talk about these files and this back and forth. This is redacted. Why is this redacted? And for many of us in our community, we've been tapped in on this for years. This is nothing new. Okay, we'll see who's all there. We'll see who's not there. We'll see. The full truth revealed. But we knew this was going on. We knew this pyramid structure over here, and this activity was happening, and we knew it implicated some of the biggest, and top leaders, executives across government, politics, corporations that would have ripple effects when it gets exposed. When this domino falls all the way, this is a perfect excuse to coincide with Iran strikes to cover that up and distract you there. And then we also have the Supreme Court ruling on Trump tariffs. And so this is why I'm saying, and this is why I'm placing my orders down below levels that we're currently at, because I'm going to go pick up more XRP. I'm going to go pick up some of my other top picks, which I'm going to reveal to you in just 1 minute. And I'm still adding to my positions here. As we go down and sweep these bear market lows, I'll be taking advantage of that. And we got a few reasons why that's going to happen. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say in the comments down below. Clarity Act being stalled also doesn't help us. I'm just going to give you guys the summary here. Patrick Witt, he was speaking here on Yahoo Finance today. House has passed the Clarity Act. The Senate has done half the work, passing the CFTC jurisdictional work over in the Senate Ag Committee. Now we wait on Senate banking, which will determine the rules and the jurisdiction of the SEC. Once that's done, both committees will have passed it. It'll go to a full Senate vote, and then they have to reconcile the bills between the Senate and the House, and then we can get it done and signed off to President Trump's desk. Brad Garlinghouse says 75% chance that it's done by the end of April, I believe. So we're still a few months out, and so we're watching the way that these dominoes are falling right now. We could see that downturn, right? We could see that big pullback off the catalyst that I just mentioned before the Clarity Act gets done, right? But then on the other side of that, you have Clarity Act, and then we move into that bull run that's driven by real utility, which leads me into my top crypto picks for 2026. Before we get there, one last thing. Brad Garlinghouse is going to be on the CFTC Innovation Advisory Committee. As far as committees go, this is the Olympics crypto roster. And when you look at the full list, too, they also have a member from Canton, I believe, as well, too. Let me take a full list right here. See if I can pull this up for you guys. There's the full list right here. Uniswap, Coinbase, Polymarket, Chris Dixon, 16Z, Bitnomials there, Kalshi, Crypto.com, Anchorage, Chainlink, ISDA, Grayscale, Kraken, Solana, You have a lot of representation here from the crypto space. Love to see it. Brad from Ripple, Adina Freeman from NASDAQ. It's fantastic. Fantastic. Now, this brings me into cryptos that are based here in America. Why they're my top 3 crypto picks is you got to look at what were the best performers after the Trump election victory. I think that you got a little preview of what comes next during this next bull run. And that was XRP, which pumped about 600%. It was Stellar, which also pumped 600%. And it was HBAR, which pumped 800%. Now, Stellar's not in my top 3, right? I currently actually don't even own Stellar. I am looking to pick up a bag again, okay? But I did do some tax loss harvesting at the end of 2025, and I repositioned my portfolio a little bit. And one of the things that I did to reposition my portfolio is I picked up a huge bag of Canton. And so right now, my top 3 crypto picks for 2026 and my top 3 cryptos that I have exposure to are XRP, Canton, and then HBAR. Now with HBAR, we got this news here today. Global logistics leader FedEx has joined the Hedera Council. FedEx brings deep operational expertise to help advance trusted digital infrastructure for global shipments. This will help securely verify shared shipment data across organizations and borders, reducing friction in cross-border commerce. So another big corporate joining the Hedera Council. Absolutely love to see it. And the current levels that Hedera is at, below 10 cents, I think is a tremendous opportunity to acquire this asset, as it went up to 40 cents at the top of 2025 bull run, and it went up to a previous all-time high of 55 cents. So even just going back to those levels, picking it up below 10 cents, incredible opportunity. Next is Canton. I've mentioned it on a few of my shows here. And for those of you guys in my Discord group, you already know how big of a position I've taken in Canton. It's because they're also getting institutions to the table. Canton is bringing trillions on chain. 8 trillion of tokenized real-world assets represented, 350 billion of daily U.S. Treasury repo volume, and 700 plus connected firms powered by trust from Goldman Sachs, NASDAQ, BNP Paribas, Broadridge, and Circle, and others too. I mean, and you look at their list. NASDAQ just joined as a super validator. Canton at the table, to say the least. And that's what I've always looked at. My number one question whenever I review a project is who the heck is using your token? Not who you're consulting with, not who you're friends with, not who's doing a proof of concept, who's using your token. And now we ask the question, who's buying your token? You know, putting it on their balance sheet as a digital asset treasury. What kind of ETFs do you have? And that's the checklist that I go through before then I look at tokenomics. And then I'm looking at, okay, let's look at these partnerships and what they're actually doing with the token. But if you can't show me anybody that's actually using your token, that's a conversation ender right there. But in this order, it's for me, XRP, obviously, which is still, I have over 90% of my portfolio is exposed to XRP. So when I say, these are my top 3, it's not like I have like 20%, 30% to Canton or HBAR or anything else. I'm still 90% XRP, just to be fully transparent and honest with you guys. Okay. And if XRP goes down to $1 around that level, I'm going to be adding more XRP. So I'm going to be even more heavy XRP. But I am looking at adding more HBAR, and I am looking at adding more Canton. But the order right now is XRP, my XRP long, and then Canton, and then HBAR. Okay? And right now, take a look at this chart on Canton. This thing broke up to basically its previous all-time high. This thing is a new coin. And that's one of the reasons why I like Canton, right? It's a fresh narrative. It doesn't have all this baggage. It doesn't have all these bag holders like so many of these other projects do. One thing that does concern me with HBAR is the tokenomics, I must say. I pointed that out in my deep dive that I did on HBAR last year. It's the same thing right now. The tokenomics on HBAR, a little concerning. But with Canton, I just love that it's a fresh narrative, and it's just been focused on institutional adoption from the get-go, from the jump. And so it came in hot. And after this pullback, this is at the beginning of December, right? This is the bottom that came in for Canton down here at about 6 cents. Now it's at 16 cents right now, but it just ran up above 19.5 cents. The previous all-time high is 20 cents on Bybit. So I'm looking at the Bybit chart, and I have targets for Canton going all the way up to 30 cents and even up to 50 cents is my high target. And so I'm not saying that this is a 10 bagger. I'm just saying that conservatively, we could be doubling and tripling up our money. And I'm looking at plays like this and then moving in with size. Obviously, doubling and tripling up a $20 bet or throwing a couple $100 at a play like this, okay, yeah, you make a bag. It's all relative, right? If you're starting out with a few $100, you're starting out with a few $100. But what I'm doing right now is finding plays like this, real utility, real institutions at the table, ETFs, digital asset treasury companies, move in with size. We don't need to hit a 10 bagger. Even if we double or triple up the bag, we make a real difference in our portfolio. And I want everybody to just take a moment to recognize we're here in the crypto space, and doubling and tripling up doesn't even excite people. When you compare to the traditional stock market, you're lucky to get 10, 20% in a year. And here we are in crypto, and people will be in the comments on this video scoffing off and telling me that that's not that great of an opportunity. It's a tremendous opportunity. And so Canton, I think even at this level, you could still easily double up, pick up at 16 cents, ride it up to 30, ride it up to 50. I think those are very conservative levels we could see this coin go to. For HBAR, it's same thing, right? This coin is below 10 cents right now. It's at 9.5 cents. And when you look at the start of 2025, this is when it went up to 40 cents. Make sure you guys can see that right there. Yeah. Look at this chart. You have the opportunity right now to get in on HBAR. And if this thing even just goes up to 20 cents, you've doubled up your money, right? You go up to 30 cents, you've tripled up your money. But if it just went up to this level right here, you're up 300% if it just goes to the 2025 high. And you got people that, going into the 2025 bull run, I was talking about Hedera going to maybe $1 or $2. I've lowered my targets, but because we've bled out so far during this bear market, we don't need to go to $1 or $2. If we do, let's have a party. But even just going back 30, 40 cents for HBAR and scooping up here at 10 cents, what an incredible opportunity. And so, same thing on XRP. We don't need to talk about XRP going to $100. We don't need to talk about it going to $1,000. You get in right now with XRP at $1.40, $1.50, and you take it to $3. You take it to $5, $6. That $5 to $10 range that I'm talking about, I just want to take out that sell wall between $5 and $10 this year, and I'll be a happy camper. And everybody else should be as well too, because you're talking about an opportunity to scoop up the asset here at $1.50 to $1, especially if we get smacked up with one more catalyst. Maybe you do pick up closer to $1, but I think the levels that we're at right now are fantastic. And then you double and triple up that bag, going to just $3, going to $4 or $5. That's great money to make this year in 2026. And so, for me, as I've explained here, I got a checklist. I review all these projects, and I'm now moving into them with size. If you guys want to check out my full coin review spreadsheet, if you want to see all of my holdings, if you want to see all of my exit targets, I share that exclusively with my Discord community. So head to my website, you sign up through Patreon to get access to Discord, and we can show you where those spreadsheets are located there in our private community. But I just wanted to tell everybody out here, these are my top 3 crypto picks for 2026. You guys let me know in the comments down below, what are your top 3 cryptos for this next bull run? And I will see you guys in the next one. God bless you all. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.